Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor's Community Connection, and really a privilege today. First of all, we have the boss here, Mr. Steve Taylor. As always, can't do it without the boss, but it's really a privilege and an honor to bring in a gentleman, Matt Bell, who is changing our community, and he's got a remarkable story. I crossed paths with Matt many, many years ago. He was a star athlete at St. Francis and interviewed him on BCSN. And then Steve asked me, do I know Matt? And my daughter's a judge, said, do you know Matt? And both talked about what you're doing in our community with Team Recovery. Team Recovery was established 2015.
That's right.
October 17th, I believe, was the day that you got sober one day and started Team Recovery 2 days later. Is
That's
that
right.
pretty much it?
Yeah.
And so that's, I think Matt needs to tell you his story. It takes a lot of courage to tell a story that you've been through so much, come out on the other end, and the thing you deserve so much kudos for is you're reaching out and you're changing people's lives with Team Recovery. So Matt, your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm just born and raised in Toledo, and have been here my whole life. A great upbringing. I had a wonderful family. Went to private schools. Was raised in the church, and I was so straight edge that I broke up with my very first girlfriend in 7th grade because she smoked a cigarette. I didn't want anything to do with that lifestyle. I did not see any trauma or neglect or abuse or even really alcohol in my home. My parents would have a drink from time to time, and so I was raised, I guess, what people would think is the opposite of how someone is raised that has struggles with addiction. And got to high school and complete culture shock. For the first time in my life, I was really uncomfortable. My school was like 30 kids from kindergarten through 8th grade, and so I was the smartest kid in the class, funniest kid, and just life was easy. I was about the best athlete, and then I get to high school and it was just very different. And for the first time in my life, I was uncomfortable. And it was just really a bad timing thing. My dad got sick. He was diagnosed with cancer, and he passed away when I was a freshman. And so it really was a perfect storm if one could be drawn up. And for the first time in my life, I sought other people's approval, and I never wanted anybody's approval prior to that. I was comfortable in my own skin. And I tell kids, I do a lot of primary prevention work, that it wasn't drugs and alcohol at first. My first addiction was your approval. It started with that. And I just wanted to be accepted. It started with cigarettes, ironically. I just broke up with my girlfriend 2 years prior, and now I'm smoking cigarettes. And I hated it. I knew I'd get in trouble. I coughed and choked, but I knew that all I had to do was inhale to be part of a crew now. And so that crew, though, you are who you surround yourself with. And I started to then drink alcohol, and I started to smoke marijuana, and it was just this snowball effect. And I will say that in high school, I still managed it really well. There weren't any major consequences, and anytime that we did get caught, it just got thrown under the rug. Because I was the star athlete, there was times that the police would come to the parties, and they were like, "You're starting the game this Friday. Get out of here."
Right.
So if there's no consequences for things, I believe that there's really no reason to change in life, not just with addiction, in life in general. So I graduated with a 4.0, got a full ride to UT to pursue my dream career in baseball. And life was going really well, hurt my shoulder, got prescribed Percocets. And back then, this was in 2006, 90 Percocets for a minor outpatient surgery was standard. Nowadays, that doesn't happen. I decided to, the first time that I took that pill, when I got home from surgery, it gave me a feeling that I had never felt from any other substance before. And I had, dabbled with substances, what people say is socially acceptable stuff for high school kids. That pill, for the first time, gave me a feeling I had never felt in my life. And it was, I remember going into the mirror, looking at the mirror in the bathroom after I took it, and I couldn't understand how something can make you feel this good. I looked in the mirror and I said, I want to feel like this every day for the rest of my life. Like I really felt that way. I started to do the same thing with those pills that I did with beer. If one beer is good, then 5's got to be great. So I'm just eating these pills, and it was very quick that I developed a physical dependence. And so to kind of fast forward everything, baseball went away, Percocets turned into Oxycontin. Oxycontin really got shut down from all the mills that were in the pill mills, and doctor shopping really got shut down and raided in this area. And that's when heroin really started to flood the streets. And I never even heard of heroin growing up in my neighborhood or in my schools. It just wasn't even a thing, and it just became my life for the next 9 years, almost a decade. And so I ended up, I experienced homelessness. I was arrested 13 times in 4 different states. I had felony convictions in 3 states. I overdosed 3 times. And I went to 28 rehabs over the course of 9 years, and that all, I got used to that though. I'll say that it just became my new normal.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much of it was hard at first, don't get me wrong, but it became, I kind of just accepted that was going to be my future until something tragic happened. So it didn't feel like a consequence anymore, October 14th, 2015, it was very cold. I asked my mom if I could just come in her garage because I was homeless and I didn't have anywhere to go. I knew I couldn't go into her house anymore. Those days were over, but I said, "Mom, can I just come in the garage, please? I want to survive the night." And she looked at me. She had been getting some coaching from some, family support groups, and I didn't know this, but she looked at me through the screen door because she wouldn't open the door, and I could tell that she was like rehearsing something to say.
Okay.
She looked at me in the eyes and she said, "Matt, you'll always be my son, but you are no longer my child. If you don't get off my property, I'm calling the police." And she slowly shut the door, and that was it. And I was like, my own mother.
Yes.
Like, how bad is this really getting? And I knew that I was hurting her, but then I could just go get high and take all the pain away.
Sure.
But like to hear my own mother say that in a moment like that, where I was telling her, "Mom, this is like if I survive or not through the night," for her to say that to me, it was just a wake-up call. So my goal is actually to just go to prison because I had 3 felony warrants. I called the police on myself. And when the police showed up, it was a DART officer from the sheriff's office. And they're like, "People don't call the police on themselves. This is not normal. You need to go to treatment." And that was it. That was October 15th, 2015. And really from day 2 in there, just decided that I had to do something drastically different, like drastically different. And everything that I had tried before, even if it was an attempt at recovery, getting a job was not fulfilling my purpose. It didn't feel right. I realized that I had to take all the liabilities that I had built up in my life and turn them into assets for myself and for other people. And that's what I've been doing for the last 9 years. So it's been a journey and it's been fun, and I'm just blessed. I'm blessed.
Well, your story is unbelievable, and I think what's also amazing is how much you share.
Yes.
I see on social media, you put everything out there and you share your story.
Mm-hmm.
I've read some more of your story and some of the things like the cost of your addiction when you were buying those pills too, and talking about the money that your dad left you when he died and how you blew through that in 6 months or something. But you share these things, and I think your whole goal of sharing and being so open is to help people and let them know, hey, I was there, I've been there, I might have been worse than you, but here I am now, and it's okay to struggle with addiction as long as you can find help. I think one of the things that I read that you posted not too long ago that blew me away was when you went up to the Detroit airport.
Oh.
You went to the valet parking.
Yeah.
Those guys are great. They know you by first name. It's an unbelievable experience when you go there. And it's, but the comment that the guy made to you about, hey, we looked you up. They thought you were somebody famous, an athlete or something. The guy looked you up and you said, "What'd you find out?" And he said, "You're a miracle." It sent chills down my spine because the guy's right. You are a miracle because of what you've gone through and now what you're able to do, not just for yourself and your family, but for everybody in our community. The lives you're touching really is unbelievable. And that's why we thought it was important for you to come in today, because I think everybody knows someone struggling with addiction.
Yes.
Whether it's a family member, a coworker, a friend. It's unfortunate, but we all know somebody.
Sure.
And I think, we all want to see people get help. And that's really what we try to do with these shows, is bring in people like yourself in our community who are doing great things and try to raise awareness and say, hey, there's opportunities to get help in our community. So we hope that maybe you can share a little bit about Team Recovery and the amazing growth you've had with your organization and how you're helping people and how people can get a hold of you and the services you offer.
Certainly. Before I do that though, I want to commend you guys for doing this. There's so many organizations and businesses or whatever, it might be schools, churches, whatever. This, 10 years ago when I got sober, and even still so today, it's this uncomfortable, dirty topic that people are very uncomfortable talking about. And me being willing to just be completely open, like you said, I have nothing to hold back.
Sure.
And by doing that, just by telling my truth, I'm sitting here today. my family has me. I have the company just truly by telling my story. It wasn't anything else. It started with that. And I think that the more that happens, the more that people can be open and honest, or even just talk about this, the amount of employees that you guys have here, or whoever it might be, like one person hears about this within an organization, it could be the difference between life and death. And so just taking the initiative to talk about this sort of stuff, again, I commend you guys for doing it, but Team Recovery, we started it on 2 days after I got clean, the idea was born, and then it was more just advocacy, like grassroots advocacy, prevention in schools, family support group meetings, and treatment linkage. 2.5 years ago, we opened our doors for treatment. I worked at another treatment center in my first few years of recovery and just learned a lot. And I'd been through so many treatment centers. And so it's like I learned a lot of good things and I learned a lot of not so good things. I studied international business when I was in college, and I've always loved business. And so to say, what can I, again, my liabilities, my lived experience, my love for business, and my passion for helping Toledo, my experience working in treatment before, this is a perfect recipe to do things our way, with the way that I believe that it should be done, the way that I would have liked to have been done with me. And that's what we do. And so I think that, you know, a couple ways that make Team Recovery very unique. First of all, and I know that a lot of people might not understand this, but I think that more people will understand this. The fact that it is owned by myself and I don't have partners or a management group telling us when we can do things, how we can do things. There's not a board of directors that wants to vote on it 3 months from now. If we see that something needs to be done in Toledo, my leadership team brings it to the table because everybody has equal weight, and we say, this is what we need to do. Are we all good with it? Yes, let's do it because the clients need it. And it's like we get to move quick, we're nimble and we're agile. And that makes us very unique because there are no other organizations in this area that are structured organizationally that way. So it does make a big difference. So that's on a sort of a leadership level and how the organization is structured. On a front lines, I guess, just approach, we just broke the 100 employee mark. We're at 103 employees right now. And I just think that licensure obviously is, you know, you have to have a nursing degree, you have to have a degree in social work or whatever it might be. And those things need to be there, but you have to have the right people. You have to have the right people in the right seats from bottom all the way to the top. And this is not about, you know, just going to school and getting a degree and coming in and working a job. This is about servant leadership. This is about, we will do anything that it takes to do what we can to give our clients every single resource and tool possible, because at the end of the day, it's up to them whether they're going to take it and use it or not. And it's a very difficult arena to work in. It's the most rewarding when things go well, but it's also the most defeating when things don't. Yeah. And having to second guess yourself whether you did enough, or did we absolutely do our clients justice today when those things don't go well, that weighs on you. And so I don't like that feeling. Right. And I don't like our team to enjoy that feeling, or to experience that feeling, I should say. And the way to counteract that is the right people in the right seats, making sure it's not training. Training is for animals. We mentor, we coach, and we develop. And we make sure that when our folks come in, we give them every resource possible to become the best employee and part of our team that they possibly can be, so that they can go out and make a difference in people's lives. And so that person-centered approach and really using evidence-based practices and best practices for whatever it might be, we are so serious when it comes to that, because this is not a job to us. And truly, like, the culture, the optimism, our core values, our resilience that is just instilled and ingrained within every single person. I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't have to motivate people. Like, you should, if you're going to be on this team, you are already motivated. And it's not our job as leaders to motivate people. You can't motivate somebody that's not motivated. And so just, again, it's all about right people in the right seats for us, and our clients experience the benefits of that. And by default, we get our last core value, which is excellence. It's something that I never received when I was in treatment, and it didn't feel good. And so that's just a guarantee that if someone comes to Team Recovery, that's what they're going to get. And my personal guarantee to anybody that walks through our doors is that if you follow our recommendations, you will stay sober and you will live a life beyond your wildest imagination. That's my guarantee to people, that if you follow our recommendations, you will stay sober and you will live a life beyond your wildest imagination. And so, you know, we're from Toledo, we're in Toledo, and that's, I don't really foresee us ever doing anything outside of Toledo, just because I love this city so much. And there's so much more work to do in Toledo. We're opening up 100 more beds between sober living and our inpatient location. 3 months from now, we'll have 250 beds.
Wow.
And right now, the beds that we currently have are all full. So there's a need. We can open up, the 100 more in 3 months, and we'll still need to open more.
Yes.
And then there's adolescent services that
Yes.
we're not doing right now, and then there's primary mental health that we're not doing right now. And so there's just so much more work that we are planning on doing within the next 10 years over our strategic plan. But I love what I get to do. I care about this so much. I don't think I've had a day off in 9 years, but I don't, it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
So I don't feel like I need to take days off. It doesn't matter where I go in the world. I'm constantly working. My family knows that, and they support me doing that. So.
Well, Matt, first of all, China will font underneath your contact information. When people see this and they have a family member or somebody they know, they'll be able to reach out to you and try to get help, because I think that's there's help out there, but a lot of people they really don't know what to do and where to go. I mean, it really is a thing, and you deserve so many plaudits for telling your story with conviction and courage. It's not easy to do, and you're changing people's lives. But man, have you found that when people are struggling with addiction, whether it's alcohol, drugs, doesn't make any difference, do they have a light bulb moment where they get it, a light switch kind of thing, or is it a long haul process where you put tools in their toolbox to deal with daily life? Is there any pattern there?
I think that the catalyst to get somebody into treatment again, because there's a lot of reasons. You could be court mandated.
Yeah,
to go to
a lot of
treatment,
people go because of the court. Sure, absolutely.
A lot of times that individual doesn't want to be there. But
100%.
that could change 3 weeks in.
Got it.
That could change 3 weeks in. So just because somebody doesn't want it right now doesn't mean that they're not going to.
Okay.
The opposite can happen too. I could want it today, and then when I get in there 3 weeks later, I might say, you know what, I don't want this anymore. I think that it's different for everybody. But there has to be some sort of, I call it the 4 L's: lover, liver, livelihood, or the law. If something is bad with your health, with your relationships, with your income, or with the legal system. Those are the main precipitators to have someone want to engage in treatment. But you just never know. You never know if this is the day that they're serious, or if that day is going to come in 6 months. But today is the only day that matters. The person is in front of us, and we have to do our absolute best to plant as many seeds as possible. Some seeds grow immediately, some seeds grow in 6 months.
Man, what about, you hear often tough love. You have to be, as a parent, you have to, like your mom.
Yeah.
She loves you.
Sure.
But that was really, it must have been brutal for her.
It was.
Extremely difficult. So you hear about tough love. But there's a line there, isn't that a hard line to handle? What's tough love and what is, I'm making a decision that he or she's going to die? Yeah. Is that difficult?
Yeah, that's, my daughter is 19 months old, and it's difficult for me to take her pacifier away.
Right.
So I can't even imagine how hard it is to implement true boundaries with your grown-up child or adult child, to say that you can't live here anymore, or you can't come in this house to seek shelter, or I'm not going to feed you, or whatever it might be. I'll speak for myself. At the point that I was at, after doing what I was doing for 9 years, homelessness, committing crimes and all this sort of stuff, that is what I needed. And I don't think that I would be here today if my mom didn't do that.
Okay.
I think that every family is different. Every family dynamic is different. What the individual who's struggling is different, and it all depends on, it depends on so many different factors. I think that utilizing an interventionist is a great tool that I think is underutilized, because these people come in and sort of do an assessment of all those key factors that are important to say this would be the best approach.
Okay.
Is this enabling, or is this
It's the
supporting?
enabling thing that you're on that line of, am I enabling or not?
It's an invisible line that we don't know if we've crossed it or not. And so it's really important, and because as the family members, we're biased, right? And we have that judgment is clouded. Oftentimes we're hurt, or we're codependent, or we're addicted to their addiction.
Yes.
And so it's just really important to get like a non-biased, unbiased third-party certified professional to come in and say, this is like the healthy route that I would recommend for you guys. And again, it's different for everybody. There's no one-size-fits-all approach for treatment. There's no one-size-fits-all for family members. There's no one-size way to say this person is going to go to treatment if you do this. But again, for me, I needed everything cut off. I needed it all. And my mom, I mean, if I needed water, a bottle of water, my mom wouldn't have given it to me. And I needed that. I needed that so bad. It's why I got sober.
Got it.
One of the things you talked about was how you've been in and out of rehab 28 times before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was the difference maker in that last time when you finally said, hey, I'm done? Like, was there something that happened, or what was the switch that was flipped?
It's very interesting. I get asked this question a lot. I was actually ready to leave on the second day. I was ready to go and get high like I did the first 27 times. And I was on my way to the nurse's station. I was on day 2, so I woke up. Actually, I didn't even sleep, but I was sick. I mean, all the withdrawal symptoms that are happening with opioid use disorder. And I was on my way to the nurse's station to say, hey, give me my stuff. I'm getting out of here. And I walked past this guy's room who had checked in a day before me. So he was on day 3. I was on day 2. And he was in his room doing push-ups. And I was like, how is this guy doing push-ups? I can't even take a sip of water without, getting sick right now. How is he doing push-ups? And that was like, it was an attraction. Like, I was like, I love sports. I want to get healthy again. This is crazy. Maybe if I just stay one more day, I'll be able to do push-ups like this guy. And it was truly, and that's that, like, from that day, I was like, you don't need 10 years sober to like go help somebody else. This guy doesn't even know he's helping me. Just by like staying and doing some push-ups, he could have just saved my life. And I thought about that, like, for the rest of the day. I was like, I could do things to help the guy that just came in today. He's got one less day than me. I don't need 10 years to help somebody. I just need one more day than he does. And it was just that concept that I've stuck to since, like, literally since that day, that I think about today. And I try to get people in our program to get involved in service work. A program of recovery, treatment, and service work are like the 4 ingredients that worked for me. And we try to incorporate those and develop those opportunities for our clients in our program today, because nobody did those things for me when I was in treatment. We had to go like find those opportunities to do them, but those were the things that worked. And I think that those 4 quadrants of the recipe for what an early treatment process looks like, we have to create those opportunities, and it just turned into service. It's really hard to stay like in your own head and think about the things that are going on with you when you're helping somebody else that has something going on with them. And so service work is just so important, and that was a lesson that was instilled in me on literally day 2 of my sobriety. So it was just a guy that was just doing push-ups, and I was like, I'm gonna stay one more day. And every day I told myself that. I was just like, I'm gonna stay one more day.
That's unbelievable.
And it just got to a point where I didn't even think about using it anymore. It's just not attractive at all. I love my life. I love the way that it is without substances. And I can experience natural highs just by holding my daughter, going to my daughter's volleyball game, whatever it is, going on a walk in the park with my son. It doesn't matter. Like, those things make me feel better than any substance ever did.
Yeah, that's great. One last question. I love to ask guests that come in, and we don't need names or specifics, but I always love to ask if there was a story that might stand out to you, somebody maybe that you met that you were able to help, or something that, just a story over the last 9 years with Team Recovery that you say, wow, here's somebody that came in that we know we were able to make a positive impact in their lives, we made a difference. Maybe a good success story that you've seen. And I'm sure there's a ton of them, and it's hard for you to think of just one.
There's so many.
Right?
There's so many. I think just more recently, there was a young lady that came in. She was one of our first clients at Team Recovery. She's still sober today. She's got her kids back. She's working 2 jobs. One of them is at a really nice restaurant here locally, and another one, she became a licensed realtor.
Oh, wow.
She went through and got her license back. Her license, I believe, was suspended indefinitely in the state. She was able to petition to get her driver's license back. She's paid off all her fines. She is starting a nonprofit to give back to, I believe it's youth, to do something with youth in our community. And every sale that she does as a realtor, she donates a piece of her commission to local charity organizations. So it's like, and she got to get a taste of what like just philanthropy and altruism looks like while she was at Team Recovery, and she got to see what that service looks like. And so I'm just so proud of her. And there's so many more. I mean, there's just hundreds and thousands of people that I see out in the community with years sober now, or wherever it might be. I could walk in here I could walk into Kroger's, I could walk into a Starbucks. It just does. There, people in recovery are everywhere, and I love to see that. I just loved it, and we just never know, you know. It's just we become normal, productive members of society again, and that's a beautiful thing to me.
Great stuff. Well, you are definitely making a difference in our community, and like you said, there's stories like that, and think about all the people that you're helping through those folks too. So obviously, we thank you for all you do in our community. You're making a major impact, and we can't thank you enough. We have to do some more together because I think we're aligned in so many ways. Obviously, we're both passionate about this city that we grew up in. And I know Tom, he feels the same way. I think we definitely got to find ways to connect together,
100%.
get more involved, and raise awareness for all the good things you're doing, and let people know it's okay to talk about it. And there are organizations out there like yours that are there to help people. And that's really the main thing.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for tuning in to another one of Steve Taylor's Community Connections. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, everyone.